What's up everyone, Alex here. Now today I wanted to talk about getting to our goals, being motivated and living with purpose. I think that every man in the modern world, even though we live in a chaotic and slightly confusing and very confusing and mad modern world where seemingly having purpose and having meaning as a man is more complicated and more ethereal and more loose and misunderstood than ever before, we need purpose in life in order to be grounded, focused men with direction. I think a lot of men are suffering with being lost and having no sense of purpose and meaning, and sort of maybe identifying a goal one day and then the next day giving up on it because it didn't hold strong enough. And I think understanding the dynamic between behavior and purpose is quite an interesting one. I think it's possible to get clear on how we can effectively hack this dynamic and make reaching our goals and having purpose in life possible, or more possible. So when we look at people who seem to have their shit together and they have goals and they have direction in life and they seem to be getting a lot done and they have self-discipline, we think of them having very clear goals, and their goals affect how they behave. So we might envy someone who seems to be going through all the hoops in life and they seem to be getting what they want and they have all kinds of success and they keep winning and they keep getting to higher and higher levels in life. And we assume that because they've got a strong purpose, it's the purpose that is leading to their behavior. They are able to jump out of bed in the morning because they have a strong purpose. And we're told this all the time by these internet gurus and people who train us. They talk about, okay, in order to have motivation and drive, we need to have clear goals, a strong sense of purpose and a strong sense of meaning in our lives. But what are we looking at? A lot of us don't know what we should have as purposes. A lot of us don't know what our goals should be. One minute someone says we should be aiming to make loads of money, and then someone else comes along and says, no, you don't want to be aiming at the money. You want to be focusing on what you love. And then the next guy comes along and says, no, you don't want to be looking at what you love. You want to be focused on the money. So it's very, very complicated to know what to be focused on. What do we bring into our lives? What should we be aiming for in our lives? Where do we get ambition? Now, once we understand the dynamic between behavior and purpose and how they influence each other and how they are effectively two sides of the same coin, things get interesting because we can flip things. And rather than needing to pressure ourselves and coming up with a very clear purpose and knowing what our purpose should be, young in life, late in life, whenever, and knowing exactly what our goals should be, turn it around and say to yourself, okay, what if I structured my life in such a way that I was the kind of person who would get goals and find success? So when you look at someone who's doing well, they have the behaviors that lead to success. They have good, successful habits. They get up early. They're disciplined. They don't waste their time with distractions. They get on with it and they get things done. But we're assuming that because they have strong goals and strong purpose and strong clarity, that's what's leading to the behavior. But you can turn it around. You can say, I don't even need to know my purpose in life. I don't even need to have a clear goal to start behaving like the kind of person who sees success in their lives. And this is an interesting hack, an interesting secret that I think even all of these successful guys have been doing. You don't necessarily need to know exactly how life is going to turn out and exactly what your goals should be down the line. You simply need to behave like the kind of person who achieves goals. And it's putting yourself into those shoes, putting yourself into that kind of a nature, that kind of a behavior that is going to start opening up your awareness to purpose. And I have found this many, many times in my own life. Sometimes I've been completely clueless on what I want, and I do change my mind quite a lot. But I have more recently started to take self-discipline as a more important feature of my life. So I've started to get up earlier. I get up at 5 a.m. now without question, without complaint. I used to hate it. Now I actually look forward to getting up and having a morning routine. And I'm finding that more of a clear sense of purpose that is aligned with me is coming into play now. It's more easy to perceive and come up with where I should be going. Clarity comes to me through my behavior. So the heart of what I'm saying is that we don't necessarily need to have a crystal clear vision in our minds to start with of where we want to go in life. I mean, how are we to know what we want? What I'm saying instead is to explore the idea of living a life that features a little bit more self-discipline and maybe that means getting up earlier. Maybe that means having a morning routine that you replace the morning with that you previously didn't have. Start living the life of someone who is a bit of a square and see what that does to you. See what that does to your perception. See what kinds of ideas float up when you start living that life. You might be surprised, as I have been, once you start just being the kind of person who does what they need to do in order to find success, you'll start to receive ideas on what success should look like for you. And because you're living true to yourself and you're living a disciplined, clear-headed, focused life, regardless of what your purpose is, you'll start to be delivered purpose. You'll start to be given ideas in much more crystal clarity. And when you're just having an idle moment, you'll find ideas popping into your head that seem to just work. Whereas previously, if you tried to come up with your goals and you sort of were trying to force yourself to come up with some drive that you couldn't find before, you find that it's a sort of inauthentic drive that comes out of that, and you eventually, of course, peter out. As I said earlier, some of us, we sit down and we say, okay, let's figure out our goals, and we write them all down, and the next day the drive for those goals are gone because then they're not authentic to our true selves. And I think if we start behaving as the kind of person who knows that they are going to have success, these plans and these visions will start to be delivered automatically to you. Try it yourself. For 1 week, live the life of a square, a self-disciplined warrior, effectively, who goes out into the world and attacks it, regardless of what he knows is coming, because those things tend to be delivered to those people who are behaving in line with their committed selves, their strongest selves. If that makes sense, let me know. If it doesn't make sense, send me a message. I know that I've delivered this in a slightly convoluted way, but I hope it starts revealing some interesting perspectives on this whole purpose versus taking action approach. As a roundup, what I'm saying is that you don't need to be totally fully aware of what you want in life and what you should be aiming for as a starting point. You don't need to know everything in advance. You simply need to start behaving as the kind of person who sees results in his life. So look at people who are successful and emulate not so much what they're looking for, because everyone's looking for different things. Emulate how they behave, emulate the kinds of habits they bring on. Start eradicating crap out of your life and toxins and the news and negativity. These people talk about this stuff, these gurus talk about this stuff because it works, because it is putting you into the state of someone who is expecting success, no matter what it's going to be. So you might not know what the success is, and that's fine. When you start behaving like the kind of person that is successful, you will be surprised at what comes into your mind. You'll start, because especially if you're eating cleanly and you're exercising, these ideas will come into your mind. You'll start to feel on track with the right kind of wavelength that is suited to you and the right kinds of things to aim for in life. So give it a shot. Start behaving like the strongest, most successful version of you, and you'll start to sink into that track that is well suited to you. If you want to hear more like this, do subscribe, smash the like button. Make sure you tell your friends about Alex Mather's films on YouTube, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you in the next video.